Welcome back here, everybody. Nate Barger. This is part 3 and we don't know how many series. I think it's going to be 5, but we may add a few as questions come in. So the last 2 we talked about, first one was the most important things that you can do while you're evaluating a single family residence. And what I'm trying to condition you guys and get you ready for is not just thinking about single family homes, but thinking about the much bigger picture. Most of us, we only do single family homes so that we can do multifamily and hotels and create massive wealth and leave a legacy and go out and truly enjoy passive income to where you can retire and just get mailbox money. I know it sounds like a dream, but trust me, I'm living that dream and I'm proof here. Not just me, my partner Mike, and dozens of hundreds of more people that you'll see on our podcast that are real estate millionaires that started off with no education, no money, parents had no money. So I want you to believe in yourself that you can do it. You just got to get the knowledge. Where are you going to get this knowledge at? Follow us. You're going to get this knowledge for free. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and right over there to the right of the subscribe button, click on that bell. And we're going to notify you anytime we got a new video coming out. So the first video was cash flow. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. Second video was about the area. Very important. It gets into, from an economist view and how economies grow and what causes construction prices to go up and areas to go up and land to be more valuable. And this one, we're going to talk about part 3 because you could have everything figured out, you think. And you go in there and you say, hey, I put it in a spreadsheet and it works. But if you don't know the construction makeup of this building, it could still hurt you. So buildings that were built before the 1950s, I tend to always stay away from unless they've been gutted. Because if you don't, what's going to happen? You're dealing with a plaster building that may or may not have asbestos in it. You may have lead in it, and anything before 1978 may have lead. But you have a higher probability of buildings having lead in them that were built before 1948, and then it dropped down from 48 to, I can't remember, 60 something, and it tiered down. But asbestos in there can be killer. But the more, even the thing that hurts you more is the cast iron stacks in there in the building. The clay tiles going out to the street from your house. A lot of them are, they're 3-foot sections, and what happens is when they stuck them together, they put concrete around them. And so what happens over time is you have this guy, he's growing, he's a tree, and he's like, man, I need some water, I need some water. And he finally, the concrete deteriorates, it gets down inside of there. And he's little bitty tiny, he's about like this big as a Q-tip. He gets inside there and he starts drinking water. And he starts getting bigger. And he starts getting bigger, and next thing you know, he busts and collapsed the pipe. Now, that is a major problem for most people. We're vertically integrated. We have hourly guys that run the machines and go out there. We can fix one of them problems for $1,200. But I've seen people pay anywhere between $5,000 and $15,000 to get those fixed, depending on how deep they are, where they're at, tearing up concrete, so on and so forth. So I want you guys to, if you're going to start buying and scaling, spend the money, get a camera, put it out there in the line, and make sure that you have a clear path all the way to the street for your sewage. That's a big expense that a lot of people don't know about until it happens. The next thing is, in the older buildings, you have plaster cylinders. And I found this out because I owned them. I get calls, and I start getting all these calls, and they say, the ceiling fell. I said, look, man, what do you mean the ceiling fell? Went over there. The whole plaster ceiling, what happens is held up with what's called lath board, not to bore you to death. And then they put concrete on top of it. And then before, the lath boards were nailed up into the wood in the 1920s, 1930s, whenever they did it. So the lath boards over time come loose. They're not screws, so they're not sticking in the wood. They come loose, and as they do that, the whole ceiling will drop. And the last one I seen, and I said, I'm selling this building. It crushed a TV and it crushed a kid's bed. And I was like, I'm done. I'm selling this building. And then you got galvanized pipes in a lot of them. So you really want buildings that are 1980 forward, but if you can find good deals in the 50s and 60s and 70s, I'm not scared of those buildings. 1980s, they switched over to PVC piping. And then you typically got all copper, unless it's been stolen out of their copper water lines. You may have PVC or Uponor, which Uponor is PEX, which is the blue and the red lines. So you want to also stay away from houses with box gutters, unless they're in historical areas and you have to have them and you're getting massive cash flow, because those type of gutters can cost you upwards of $100 a foot. Sometimes you got to come in, you got to rip all that out, you got to create a new pan, you got all the wood, you got the rafter tails coming out, and then you got coming in and stuff sometimes rotted back way into the house. Slate roofs you want to stay away from, and again, unless it's in a historic area and you're getting $2 a square foot or something crazy where you can shift that liability to $2 a square foot. You just want to do your due diligence, but understanding the construction of the building, what years you want to go after. For me, 1950, 1960 properties are great. When you get from 62, 63 all the way up to 73, you want to be aware of aluminum wiring. That is when that was prevalent. And aluminum wiring, what happens, not to bore you guys, but it doesn't conduct electricity as well as copper. So when it heats up like this, and it gets bigger and it expands and contracts. And the nails that it's in, it starts to push them out. Once it becomes loose, then it starts sparking, it causes a fire. So they got these little purple boxes that you can, they're called Alumicons, and you can use them, but you gotta torque them down to 10 or 15 PSI. I just bought a 98 unit apartment complex with some good buddies of mine that we JV with. And that building over there is full of Alumicons that were put in, and they were bad. They were not torqued properly. And so now we're having problems. I just got a call today where, those wires are over there completely melting. Do your construction budget. If you're gonna buy an old building from the 1800s or early 1900s, just really do your due diligence. I would recommend that unless it's in a really high grossing area, I would stay away from it. If it's plaster walls, galvanized piping, the cast iron, I mean, you can run a snake down that and you can figure that out, but the rest of that stuff is all gonna break over time. The plaster walls are the bad thing, because if you gotta get inside them, the knob and tube electric, you wanna stay away from that unless you're gonna renovate it. And then the last piece I wanna tell you about is the Fed pack. It's called Federal Pacific breakers. They have an orange marking, orangish red on them. I'm orange, green, red colorblind, so I don't know, but they're like orangish, and Federal Pacific breaker boxes are notorious. You can Google them, be on the lookout for them. If you buy a building with them, you're gonna wanna change them out, because if you get an insurance company in and they come in and look at it, they're gonna make you change it out. They don't want that liability. So guys, make sure, again, you hit that like button, you subscribe to us, and hit the bell icon, ding, 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 ding. We'll make sure you're notified of all the new videos. Stay tuned and look out for part 4.